This may be a holy grail of vintage Gibson acoustic guitars. I've been very lucky over the years to find some really rare and special vintage instruments, and this one may be at the top of the list. This guitar has some great history to it, which we'll talk about today, and hopefully play this guitar and hear how it sounds. It has some major structural issues. It's got some cracks on the top that are pretty serious, as well as the back and sides. And someone added this metal bridge here. So hopefully we can string it up and hear how it sounds. But this is a 1942 Gibson Southern Jumbo, which is essentially a J45 with a number of upgrades. You can see here on the fretboard, we've got these fancier inlays, and these guitars also had premium quality woods, allegedly. We'll talk about that more in just a moment. But 1942 was the first year of the Southern Jumbo, and you can see here on the headstock, it has what's known as the banner logo. It says, "Only a Gibson is good enough." And Gibson just used this logo during the World War II years, from 1942 to 1945. There's some really interesting history about these guitars made during World War II. I was researching this online, and many companies were obligated to help out during the war effort, and Gibson was one of those. And most of the men went off to help during World War II, and meanwhile the women stayed back and took over jobs like building guitars. And there's an amazing photo of the original Gibson factory in Kalamazoo, Michigan, where there are 100 women outside posing for a photo who built these guitars during World War II. And some people claim these are some of the greatest guitars that Gibson ever made. Another unique feature during this era was that this guitar does not have a truss rod, and that was part of the conserving of metals for the war effort. And so this guitar has a really big neck on it to compensate for the lack of truss rod, but it feels perfect in your hand. Now, what's interesting about this guitar being one of the very early SJs, it has this unique pickguard on it here. It's a striped tiger stripe or fire stripe pickguard, and it is lacquered over. And if you look very closely, you'll see checking on top of the pickguard, which is a very unique look. There are no serial numbers on this guitar. This came later for Gibson, I believe in the late 40s or 1950s. But there is a batch number stamped inside of the sound hole here. It's on the heel of the neck inside the guitar, and it's batch number 910, which, in doing just a little bit of research online, it seems that batch number 910 may have been one of the very first batches of SJs, and these guitars specifically were the only ones to have rosewood back and sides. And I do believe this is rosewood if you guys look at the back and sides of this guitar, which makes it very special. Now, I'm hoping I can possibly reach out to Gibson and see if they have any further history or perhaps ledgers on the guitars during this time. Perhaps they can give us some more information on exactly what this guitar is. Unfortunately, this guitar has suffered a lot of abuse, and the cracks are pretty significant. I'm hoping that it's structurally sound enough that we can string it up and play it in today's video, probably in a lower tuning. Because I do love making these videos, and I try to play the instrument as I found it, which includes this metal bridge here that someone added at some point in time. I'm not sure exactly why you would do that, but it's also damaged the bridge here. You can see where the strings were going over the top of the bridge. So it was missing the bridge pins. I've got some today we can use. It's also missing the tuner bushings. It's missing an inlay at the first fret, and the frets are near worn into the fretboard. So we definitely have our work cut out for us. I want to throw it on the bench and see if we can get this guitar to play today. Okay, let's first try to remove this bridge here. This looks like it's off of some 1950s or 60s arch top or something like that. There's 3 screws in the side, flatheads they put in here at some point. That one is just spinning. Wasn't doing very much. So let's take it off and see what the damage is. Not too bad. There's 3 holes here, obviously. A lot of dirt underneath, but it didn't really damage the top too much. But I do think the tension of this on the side of the guitar here probably helped make this crack going down the center. Okay, so you can see where the bridge was damaged from the strings going over top here, and they really filed this down, which possibly because the action has gotten high on the neck. It may need a neck reset, but I hope it'll play enough for this video. So this was missing the bridge pins, and I have a set here, but we can see that all of these bridge pin holes are, I mean, they're too large, so they're probably just worn out from being used. My best idea is to maybe use some oversized bridge pins, which I don't have. The ultimate fix is to plug these and re-drill them, which I don't have the time right now to do, so perhaps we can figure out a solution. Okay, so my idea for now to just try to play this guitar and see how it sounds is to just use some masking tape that I've got on these bridge pins to try to close the gap to get these to press fit. We'll see if this will work. Okay, so this is not ideal, but it might hold. It's detuning already. You gotta make sure the string is all the way seated. Well, the very first notes I heard out of this guitar, I said this was probably the best sounding acoustic guitar I've ever heard in my life. And I stand by that. This is the greatest sounding acoustic I have ever heard. You guys can let me know what you hear. It has perfect balance of tone and surprisingly plays good. I did have to fix a low spot in the nut here and on the bridge saddle, but it sounds amazing. It really does. I hope it records well. I hope you guys can hear it on your end well and let me know what you think. But I've never heard anything like it, really, to be honest. So I think I'm going to sit here a while longer and keep playing it. And hopefully I can talk to Gibson perhaps and see what they have to say. Maybe they have some ledgers on these guitars, specifically, of course, this batch number. And we'll see what history we can find out. So we'll see if anything comes out of that. But thank you guys so much for tuning in, as always, and watching my videos. I am truly grateful to be able to do this and play these amazing instruments, hopefully record with them and bring them to you through video. So thank you for giving me the platform to be able to do that. And if you guys want to support me here in this journey, you can subscribe here to my YouTube channel. Check out some of my other content. I also have a record out you can go listen to on Spotify or wherever you listen to music, and those things would help tremendously. So especially with what's going on right now in my life, which you guys will probably find out here pretty soon. So thank you again. Hope you enjoyed it. See you next time.